Today on Monkey Life. The ring-tailed lemur who ruled the roost at a family home.
Kaiyah didn't fit in to our life at all. We had to fit around Kaiyah.
Babe and Amy come face to face with their own kind for the very first time.
You ready, Elvira? Look, ha, that's it.
And the Chilean capuchins get a cracking lesson in wild behaviour. This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing...
Everybody's brilliant, really good.
...and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
You're not gonna let me go! Are you not gonna let me go?
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. Some of the primates that arrive at Monkey World have been seized by animal welfare authorities. Others come from families who've spent thousands on exotic pets, only to find they can't really look after them. Adrian, Leanne and their daughter Megan, from Belfast, are one such family. They spent £800 on Kaiyah, a ring-tailed lemur they found in a tiny cage at a breeder's. Pet shop owner Adrian wanted to give her a good home, but it wasn't long before the family realised what it means to keep a wild animal in the house as a pet.
I went to a guy's house about snakes and came across Kaiyah living in a cage in his living room. I later found out the man was breeding monkeys, lemurs, different things and selling them to the general public. So I felt very sorry for Kaiyah, and that's when we took her on.
Kaiyah didn't fit in to our life at all. We had to fit around Kaiyah. She took over our house. We couldn't open windows in case she would get out. Doors had to be locked at all times. People couldn't come in. We had to build an outside enclosure. She became quite aggressive towards anybody. It started off with Megan. She was just trying to show dominancy.
And social life was out the window too, you know.
Totally, you couldn't leave her because she was hand-reared. You can't leave a hand-reared animal on their own because we were her family, and the older she got, the harder it got.
I don't think anything can prepare you for a hand-reared primate. It's very difficult animal to keep.
Excellent. Kaiyah will be very pleased, as well as her owners, because then she's going to have a new big family at the park, so.
The family appealed to Alison for help, and today she's in Belfast to collect Kaiyah and take her back to Monkey World to live with other lemurs. Adrian, Leanne and 8-year-old Megan are upset to part with Kaiyah, but as they run a pet shop, they know it's the right thing to do.
I knew that we would have to give her up, but at the same time, knowing that she could come to Monkey World, it eases your mind immediately because the conditions are perfect for her, and she will be in a colony, and she'll just be so much happier, and she'll get a lot more than we could ever give her.
Is that when we kept open?
Alison has made arrangements for Kaiyah to fly back with her from Belfast to Southampton Airport, 50 miles from the park.
So, up and away for Kaiyah.
Once Kaiyah has settled in at the park and passed her health checks, the next step will be to introduce her to the rest of the park's lemurs in their outdoor enclosure at Malagasy. The leader of the mostly male troop is Fennel, a bossy female. As Kaiyah is still very young, Alison hopes Fennel will adopt her rather than consider her a threat. And if their first indoor meeting is a success, Kaiyah will eventually go outside with Fennel to meet the males. Today, primate carer Toby is organising a special treat for the lemur group: date ropes.
They know what the rope is. As soon as we go in, they're sort of trying to get the dates out before we even have a chance to hang it up, usually. Just encourages them all to climb a bit, and yeah, they have to, once they get there, they have to work for the dates, and sort of helps them show off their agility a bit. They have to balance, and obviously when you get more than one lemur on a rope, it sort of takes a bit of skill for them to actually stay on the rope. It's just a nice, quick, simple form of enrichment, and it keeps them busy for quite a long time.
Ring-tailed lemurs are only found on the island of Madagascar and live in troops of up to 30 individuals. They climb and jump high in the tall trees to search for food and evade predators. The park's 9 lemurs live in a large open enclosure with plenty of trees so they can leap just like they would in the wild. These canny fruit lovers have already worked out Toby and Donna are about to string up their favourite date delicacy, and they're impatient to get stuck in. There's a definite pecking order in lemur society, and it's 9-year-old Fennel who asserts her dominance and gets first pick. To make life more challenging, as well as dangling date ropes from the feeding tray, Toby also secures them like washing lines. The agile lemurs use their tails to give them stability. Renton is middle ranking and finding it a bit difficult to keep his balance, particularly with Sirius and Houdini at the other end. But while most of the troop find their feet, there's one lemur left at the very bottom.
This is George. George is our oldest resident ringtail. He's estimated to be about 25 years old, which is a very good age for a captive ringtail. George was rescued from a safari park. He was very, very overweight. Had to get him on a diet straight away. He was also very, very food orientated. He used to steal food from everyone and anyone, and obviously this isn't the way lemur society works. There's sort of a hierarchy, and the females are dominant, and it wasn't George's place to go taking the best food. George is firmly set at the bottom of the group now. He's lowest ranking. He sort of knows his place. He will wait until all the other individuals have eaten before he'll come down and have food, but we always keep a few bits to one side for George just to make sure that he's getting his fair share of food as well.
If Kaiyah is going to fit into the group, she'll have to understand the politics and work out who is who. But at least there's one lemur she'll have no problem recognising.
George is probably the easiest ringtail up here to tell apart from the others, mainly because of his shape. The only sort of legacy of his former chubbier days is that he's got a big saggy belly now, which hangs down underneath him. We're quite often questioned as to whether he's pregnant or carrying babies, but we just have to explain that he's a little old man who was overweight sort of when he arrived here. But it doesn't seem to hinder him too much, and he sort of just waddles around, does his own thing up here, really.
Alison's arriving with Kaiyah the lemur she collected in Belfast. Jeremy's waiting for them at Southampton Airport. Kaiyah travelled in the cargo hold, and Alison checks she hasn't suffered any ill effects.
Hey, Kaiyah. Hey, sweetie. bad.
The young lemur is looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. With Kaiyah loaded airside, Jeremy just needs to collect Alison at the terminal.
No, you're picking me up out front.
All right, okay.
And they're on the road to the park. It's nearly dusk when they arrive.
Only come from Northern Ireland, but you know, getting her sort of boxed up, making sure that everybody's happy with all of the right paperwork, making myself happy that she's content in the box and everything. But the whole way back from the airport just now, she was just eating grape after grape after grape. So, you know, life can't be too bad if you're sat on your cuddly toy eating grapes. Pretty pleased. She's a young animal, so she should just take all of this in her stride anyway, and she's pretty confident and cocky, so I think we'll be just fine.
Kaiyah will be housed in one of the temporary bedrooms while she settles in. And Keeper Donna is so keen to see her, she's come back into work.
She looks lovely. She's in really good condition. She's moving about fine. She's eating. She seems quite relaxed, so fingers crossed.
She's really very active, and you know, she was bouncing off sort of the walls, lemur style, sort of clinging and leaping in the pet shop, so her coordination's quite good. But I'm really very hopeful that she's gonna do okay here, and that she's gonna now have to sort of deal with the will of all of our lemurs in Malagasy and what they think, because she's only just a teenage girl in lemur years, if you will. She's just come into adolescence, and that will make her hi you, very popular with the boys. The biggest and most overwhelming factor for Kaiyah here is that she's gonna be with an entire mob of ringtail lemurs with social dynamics to boot that go along with that, and that she's just gonna be over the moon to run, romp, and play. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is she turns into a spoiled, rotten brat and starts causing fights with everybody. I suspect it's going to be the former, and I'm really pleased for her. She's just going to love it up there.
Over the years, more than 30 small primates have arrived at the park as a result of the pet trade. Like Kaiyah, Spanish capuchins Babe and Amy are recent arrivals. Alison and Jeremy collected them from a British couple living in Spain, who could no longer look after them. But the two sisters have never met other capuchins before, apart from their parents. Today, that's all going to change. The pair are currently living in several of the indoor bedrooms together. But now, Kira and Molly from one of the park's 3 capuchin groups have come to join them. It's a noisy first meeting.
They're more concerned about all of us being here, so we're gonna have to slow the introductions, let these guys settle down and start considering each other before we ever move ahead with any more. So that's okay, slow is good.
Babe and Amy are wary. Molly's curious, and Kira's just not that interested. But with plenty to eat and no signs of aggression from either side, all 4 girls settle quickly and tolerate each other's presence. No one is best friends yet, but it's a promising start. Eventually, Babe and Amy will have to get used to an even larger group of capuchins. There are 92 at the park altogether. The majority came from a laboratory in Chile, and others from the pet trade. In the wild, capuchin monkeys are clever and resourceful. In their South American rainforest home, they'll often use rocks or branches as tools to help them open food, giving them access to a wide-ranging diet. Despite their small size, they're strong and have been known to carry rocks bigger than their own body mass for long distances. The primate care team at the park often see the capuchins attempting to crack open food items by banging them on hard surfaces. But they've never seen them use two rocks together as tools.
I cannot look. I'm so looking forward to seeing the capuchins with the rocks, the ambrels, doing some natural tool behaviours.
Today, they're trying an experiment and are putting out everything needed to test Amy's group at tool use. Angela and Hannah have selected some large flat rocks and some small stones, as well as hard-to-crack nuts.
It was quite nice yesterday because they had a big rock and a little rock, and they were actually whacking the big rock onto the little rock, so it'll be interesting to see if they try and pick up the big rocks today.
Leader Amy escorts the group out, ignoring the morning food scatter to investigate.
This is believed, obviously we don't totally know, to be a learnt ability. The youngsters will watch the parents go and find large rocks and put them under the fruit trees and nut trees so that they can get to it earlier, and then they'll mimic their parents doing it.
Emily seems more interested in the nuts than the rocks. And Digit knows she needs to open them, but hasn't worked out the best method yet.
Not all this group are captive breds. We believe that some were actually taken out of the wild. So in theory, they should have learnt some of it from their parents, but we don't entirely know at what age they were taken out of the wild.
It's a real struggle to get into the prized nuts, but it's Amy who realises a whack will help, along with sharp teeth. The girls use anything but the tools provided to try and open the much-loved delicacy. Later, will Amy and the girls crack tool use like their wild cousins? Babe and Amy, the Spanish capuchins, have just met the park's Kaiyah and Molly. Previously kept as pets, the pair have never encountered their own kind before. The meeting was a success, so the primate care team have decided to let them venture into the playroom and come face to face with more of the group. Jenny, one of the team, is keeping an eye on them.
It's very hard for us to, I guess, predict the outcome of the next few introductions, particularly as we haven't actually introduced some of the more dominant and higher-ranking ladies. But at this stage, it does look like the right group for them. I mean, all the introductions so far have gone quite smoothly.
Amy is the more confident of the two. She heads high, typical capuchin behaviour. The others, the less dominant members of alpha female Debbie's group, seem unconcerned about the newcomer. A little later, Babe decides to brave it too and joins her sister. The park's Chilean capuchins make friendly facial gestures, but take little notice of the sisters, who rarely move far from each other, but seem quite at home.
They're both lovely, confident ladies, and that'll set them up in good stead for the rest of our introductions. So, yeah, we're feeling quite positive.
They're happy in the playroom and they've been accepted into Debbie's group. But next time, it'll be the great outdoors for Babe and Amy, something they've never experienced before. In the enclosure next door, Amy's capuchin group have been given rocks and stones to use as tools to open nuts, just like they would in the wild. But so far, they haven't quite picked up the technique. After a few more attempts by the girls, Keeper Angela decides to give them a helping hand, encouraging this natural behaviour that would help them survive in the wild. She demonstrates the technique by using the big rock as an anvil and a smaller one as a hammer. A few well-aimed taps and the nut is open.
So, nut, Elvira. Nut.
The curious capuchins queue up to see a demonstration.
Tap. You do it. Rock. Nut onto the stone. You do it.
Elvira and Amy seem particularly keen to learn.
Got your nut. You can do it, girls.
They're bright, but they haven't got the hang of it just yet.
And you got your nut.
Patient Angela doesn't give up.
Tasty nut.
And eventually, it's Emily who shows captive capuchins can be as clever as their wild counterparts. Next time on Monkey Life. Orangutan Xiao Kuai is expecting a happy event,
She's probably a month or so gone now, maybe a little bit more.
while golden-cheeked gibbon Peanut presents her newborn, 2 days old and clinging on tight.